This is LSAT Prep Test 142, Section 3, Passage number 2. The topic is stealing thunder. This is the courtroom move where a lawyer reveals their own bad news before the other side can. Difficulty is fairly low. The passage is a pretty straightforward read, but the ending sets a trap. Now, this is a social science passage. The author is building a case that stealing thunder works, stacking up psychological reasons why, and then yanking the rug out at the very end with a limitation. And that last move is what the test cares about the most. The most important moment in this passage is the final few sentences of the last paragraph. Everything before it pushes in one direction, then the author reverses. If you cruise through the ending, you're going to pick a wrong answer on the main point question. Now, paragraph 1 is pure setup. Here is the strategy and the logic. If your weakness is coming out anyway, you should volunteer it first so it doesn't hit as hard. Nothing clever here. Read it, understand the definition, and then keep moving. Paragraph 2 is where the author starts stacking the deck. First, there's research, simulated trials showing the technique works across a broad range of situations. Then comes the psychology. Volunteering bad information makes you look credible. People treat evidence that cuts against your own side as being more believable. And stealing thunder takes the surprise away from the opposition's case, so their big reveal lands flat. Now, there is one more layer here that's easy to skim past. The author brings in a scarcity idea. A persuasive message is worth more when it feels rare. So when both sides end up presenting the same damaging evidence, it starts to feel like old news and lose its punch. That is a specific mechanism. Don't blur it together with the credibility point they're doing different work. But here is what matters about paragraph 2 as a whole. It's all going in one direction. Every sentence is another reason that stealing thunder is a smart move. Your job is to notice that pattern without getting buried in the individual examples. You want to move through this steadily. The details are supporting evidence, not the argument itself. Now, paragraph 3 starts by continuing that same positive push. A lawyer can frame negative information on their own terms. They can put a spin on it. They can soften it. So far, they're still building up here. But then you hit the word however. Pay attention to that word. The author says this framing trick only works when the negative info can actually be spun positively. That is the first crack. Right after that, you get the psychological explanation for why framing works. Jurors who hear positive information and framing early latch onto it. They use it as a filter for everything that comes next. And so early, good framing locks in a favorable lens. And that sounds great for stealing thunder. But the very last part of the passage flips that same mechanism against you. When the damaging info is severe, volunteering it early creates a negative first impression. Now, jurors filter everything through that negative lens instead. So the exact same psychology that helps you in mild cases destroys you in bad ones. And that is your key move. It's one mechanism with two opposite outcomes. The difference is how bad the information is. Now, the pattern running through this passage is an escalating setup and reversal. The author spends most of the passage making stealing thunder look like a no-brainer, and every paragraph adds more support. Then, in the final sentences, one qualification cuts through the entire thing. It undercuts it not completely, but enough to change the main point. Here is what the author actually thinks. Stealing thunder is a real, psychologically grounded strategy that works in many cases. But it has a built-in ceiling. When the news is bad enough, the same psychology flips and makes it backfire. Now, here is what most students get wrong. They remember the buildup and forget the pullback. And so when they see a main point answer that says stealing thunder is effective and is supported by research, full stop, no qualifier, it looks perfect. But the correct answer will account for both sides. It'll mention the support and the limitation. So if your answer choice is all sunshine, it's wrong. Before you go to the questions, check yourself on 3 things. First, can you name at least 2 different psychological reasons the passage gives for why stealing thunder works? Second, what is the core one condition that makes stealing thunder backfire? And third, why does the same psychological mechanism produce opposite results depending on the situation?